2 years ago, I think we had like, I'm going to guess at 4,500 encampment complaints. And I think now it's over 16,000, so it's almost tripled. Now, when I say those complaints, I want to be very clear. Police don't operate in this space alone. This has traditionally always been a partnership for the last couple of years. So I think you got to understand that these individuals right now in this space are extremely vulnerable, and it's not safe, period. And then you ask the question, why is it not safe? We've got gangs operating in the space, the intimidation. We've got violent assaults operating in the space, sexual assaults. And then if you look at it from the drug usage down there, it's rampant. We've got obviously tons of meth down there. We've got lots of fentanyl down there. We're seeing carfentanil, we're seeing xylazine. Then you look at the fire aspect, as you heard from the fire chief. There's serious fire hazards. If you look at the affidavit that we submitted, really horrific pictures. And it was good that it was sealed because you can't unsee what you're seeing, people being burnt to death alive. I have kids. When you see that, the last thing you want to be hearing is that you lost a loved one over the holidays, because it wrecks your Christmas for many years to come. And then you look at the inclement weather, it's going to get colder. You look at the propane tanks down there with the high open fires, with the nylon material and the tarps and all the bicycles and all of the weapons that are down in that particular area, just, whether it be an axe or be a knife or be a gun. I think we've lost the miss here that these aren't safe. And then, people say there's no beds. Well, there are beds. And I think we've now heard that quite a few times. Is it easier to make a controlled environment safer, whether it's a shelter safer, or we have to put resources in there to make them safer? Well, that is a way easier to do than try to keep 1,500 tents spread out across the city safe. So, we would say there's gaps, absolutely. We need day shelter space. It's not all about housing. We need stabilization. We need addiction support. We get all that. But as police officers and as frontline workers, the same as fire, for us, we swear an oath to protect and prevent crime. Protect people, prevent crime. And just to say that this is okay, let's continue to do this because it's hard work. When you look at the Christmas time, it's when there's less services available, in some of these spaces. We need to figure out, is there a way to kind of bridge this gap to get people safe? So the interesting part of this whole court case it basically validated what we were doing is a pretty good practice. We work with a multitude of partners. Police don't lead this, although there's some that say this is a police sweep. This has never been a police sweep. We're part of a team, just like everybody else. There's multitudes of emails that went into that affidavit that show this. So it's unfortunate that it's been perceived this way, but it doesn't change the fact that these encampments are not safe and these people are at a high degree of risk right now. So we need to do as a community and services as much as we can to keep them safe. We've now got our funding formula back starting this year, which, it had a 2-year pause, but now it's back. So the strains aren't now the money we have. The strains have come in the last few years on losing resources and having the ability and slowing down recruiting. So we're thankful that has got to the point now, but it's going to take us some time to build to where we need to get to. And so some of the things that we've done in relation to that is we've increased recruit classes from 30 or 32 to 50, 3 classes a year. We've changed the way we hired experienced officers, so we've just put 10 through this year. And then we're going to start to build a step down or a farm team, is kind of how from a hockey analogy, is what can we train people with that maybe they don't need a gun, but they can do a lot of the tasks orientated in policing, and then we can basically use that as a recruiting tool. So I think, most of those things are hopefully in the pressures. I mean, we still have capital pressures because that hasn't been resolved, and the ability to buy the appropriate equipment that we need to do the job. But for the operating budget, I think now we have a solid foundation to build what we need for the resources. And then looking at guns in the hands of criminals, there's a few things that you have to look at here. In 2017 to 19, before C-75, we had 3 homicides with people out on conditions. In the 3 years after, the same comparator, same time frame, a little over 2 years actually, we had 26, and now we're closer to 36, 35, 36 in that area that have been out on some type of release condition. So the criminal element is going to find the gun. No law is going to change that. It's the consequence in holding the individuals accountable for this type of violence. So some things positively have changed. We now have a dedicated crime prosecutor. We actually built an IBIS unit, which is ballistics identification system, to identify, what type of firearm, if it matches a shooting. We've went from 1 gang suppression team within the last 3 weeks, I think, to 2. We're going to look at a non-fatal shooting team, because these are the things that disproportionately drive our crime severity index. Because, as you know, gun crime, homicides, serious aggravated assaults all have more weight than, say just a normal assault. And so when you look at it, our criminal incidents are gone down, but our crime severity has gone up 10%, and a lot of that 10% is the reality because the guns are on the street. So if we don't have accountability to that, and now we've just heard that Bill C-75 or C-48 has got royal assent come into law in January, which is basically some reverse onus on bail and a few other things is what we're hearing. This accountability is really what's been lacking in our system.